I, a woman, age 66, am the mother of two sons. My oldest son, Benjamin, is 36 years old. The youngest, Jack, is 33 years old. Jack has achieved significant milestones in his life. He holds a leadership position at work, has stability and support from his longtime significant other, and is surrounded by friends. Despite their current rent, he and his partner are actively saving for a down payment on a home of their own. In contrast, Benjamin, although a senior, faces a number of challenges in life. He has never found himself in a personal relationship, has no close friends, and has left university twice due to adjustment problems. Benjamin is currently unemployed, and I have been supporting him fully financially for the past 6 years. Although this situation is far from ideal, I have accepted it, understanding that Benjamin is a unique individual facing a challenging path of self-actualization. Despite his age, his presence in my life brings me fulfillment. As time passes, I find myself thinking more and more about the future of my children after I am gone. Recently, I decided to update my will and discuss the changes with Jack. I informed him that the majority of my inheritance, including cash and property, would go to Benjamin. However, to Jack I have allocated the sum of £10,000 to support him in purchasing his own home. My decision is based on the belief that Jack is able to secure a decent future for himself, while Benjamin needs additional support to find his way. Jack met this news with resentment, claiming that he was being penalized for his achievements, while his brother was allowed to avoid trying and fail without consequence. He expressed the opinion that Benjamin was being rewarded for refusing to be independent, using sharp words for his brother. In the midst of the conversation, I advised Jack to leave to give him time to think. Before leaving, Jack expressed that the issue was not about finances, but about favoring one son over another, which he felt I had done all my life. He left these accusations at the door, claiming that our relationship was struggling emotionally. This incident occurred 3 months ago. Since then, Jack has stopped communicating with me, ignoring my attempts to contact me, including missing my 66th birthday celebration. He also failed to make himself known at Christmas, leaving me to spend the holidays only with Benjamin, as he often had before. Word of our conflict has spread to other family members, who criticize my decision and point out that it could exacerbate the already strained relationship between the brothers. I have the same love for both sons, but I am concerned about Benjamin's future after my death. The certainty that Jack won't have to face the hardships of life to the extent that Benjamin does pushes me to believe that Jack doesn't need the money as much. Jack's attitude toward the decision and his apparent disagreement makes me frustrated and repulsed by his accusations of greed and indifference to his brother's future. Your approach to parenting raises many questions and concerns. You seem to be giving one of the children more attention and resources, which can cause the other to feel disadvantaged. This can lead to misunderstandings within the family. For example, Jack may feel that he is less valued compared to Benji, which in turn can undermine his self-esteem and relationships within the family. Benji's preference may give him the illusion that he has access to all resources without having to work hard to achieve them. This is not conducive to developing responsibility and independence. When you pass away, leaving behind Benji's entire inheritance, there is the question of whether he will be able to make good decisions without the experience of living independently. Realizing that having to work, earn and pay bills is an important part of adulthood seems to be overlooked. Dividing assets equally between all children in a will could be a step towards fairness, allowing each of them to feel supported and cared for equally. However, the emphasis that all resources could be spent inappropriately, such as on bad habits, indicates deep concerns about Benji's future. This raises questions about the need for external management of resources, such as trust management, to ensure long-term well-being and avoid waste. In addition, the importance of maintaining family relationships and mutual support between brothers should not be lost because of financial decisions. Creating an environment where each family member feels valued and supported may be the key to their understanding and harmony. Next story. My brother found himself in a divorce situation 11 years ago. At the time, his child was still in preschool age. Since then, I have taken on the role of nanny for my niece, so much so that I have effectively become a second mother to her. She has become like my own daughter. Recently, my niece approached us about purchasing a laptop for her, explaining that she needed it for her studies. We decided that it would be a great gift for her, of course, after getting approval from my brother. Determined to please her, I chose a gaming laptop given her passion for video games, figuring it would be to her liking. However, shortly after the purchase, an unforeseen situation arose. My niece's mother contacted us and informed us that she had already purchased a Chromebook for her daughter because she had requested a laptop. I informed her about the purchase of the laptop for my niece. In response, she offered to return it to me. I replied that the offer seemed absurd to me and that, logically, she should be the one to give up her Chromebook. She took this in stride, stating that as a mother, she determines what is best for her daughter, and urged me not to interfere with her parenting and just return the laptop I had purchased. I firmly stated that the laptop could not be returned, so she was faced with a choice. Either she would return the Chromebook and find another gift, or her daughter would experience the disappointment of seeing how inattentive her mother's choice had been. To this, she called me an idiot. Met a person who does not appear to be eager to return the item. Perhaps this is because the item was purchased by you or is not returnable, or perhaps you have already mentioned it to your niece. From your story, it seems that you are more concerned about your mother than your niece, who you would like to give something special to, indicating that you are being petty when it comes to your niece in this situation. Instead of aiming to give her the best gift that surpasses the gifts from her mother, the suggestion to get all together and give the girl a great laptop looks like a great idea. After all, if the main focus is not on you but on your niece, this approach will be most appropriate. The child has already purchased a laptop before his mother had time to think about the gift. The brother reassured you by stating that everything was fine before the mother even purchased the device. If you consider the situation from the perspective of someone who doesn't want to cede the initiative in choosing a gift, favoring a cheap Chromebook may seem like a good decision to everyone. However, it's worth considering what will be best for the child rather than the personal interests of the adults. Obviously, the laptop you bought will prove to be a much better choice over the Chromebook if we focus on the child's interests. A better solution would be to return the laptop to your niece and give the Chromebook as another caring gift. This approach, while seemingly favorable to you, is a reasonable alternative, given that the proposed computer will not allow the child to play on it, and its functionality will be limited compared to a more versatile and convenient option. I dissent. It seems to me that many parents would prefer their children to use a regular educational laptop instead of a gaming laptop. Such a choice seems to me to be quite reasonable. Ideally, this should be a discussion between parents, not a case of some relative deciding they know best. In this case, by trying to intervene, you may be creating tension between mother and daughter. Consider the fact that the mother, despite her financial ability, has tried to accommodate her daughter's desires within her means. By creating a situation where the child knows you have the laptop, you are putting the mother in an awkward position if she is unable to reimburse you for half of the cost. Such actions may be viewed critically as if you have not acted in the best way. Update: after mulling over the comments, I have come to a conclusion about my next steps. I have decided that my opinion and feelings are of paramount importance to me. Thus, I do not plan to return the gaming laptop. I also intend to stop any attempts by my brother's ex-spouse to contact me by blocking her contacts. My brother has supported this decision of mine. Now I want to tell a different story. I turned 18, I'm a girl. I have strong feelings because of an incident last weekend. My stepfather is an avid soccer fan. Every Sunday, he gathers his friends to watch the game together. It's a long-standing tradition in our house. I have always helped by bringing snacks and drinks during the evening, and until recently, I didn't see anything wrong with it. However, that all changed when, while serving them, I encountered some unpleasant comments from some of my stepmother's friends. They started discussing my appearance, noting the changes in my body and calling me a beauty. I felt shocked and bewildered, not knowing how to react. I was even more puzzled by my stepmother's behavior. Instead of standing up for me or asking my friends to stop, he agreed with what they were saying. This made me even more frustrated and disgusted with not only his friends, but with my stepfather himself for not only indulging in this behavior, but participating in it. In a rush of emotion, I left the house to seek solace with a friend as I didn't feel safe around them after those comments. I have spent the past week away from home, which has caused my mom to resent me. She believes I overreacted and could have just ignored what they said. My mom believes that men behave this way and that my behavior, especially my leaving the house, was unacceptable in the face of my stepfather's friends. She now insists that I apologize to my stepfather for embarrassing him. Doubts are beginning to visit me because of my mom's reaction, even though I am convinced of the rightness of my actions. Your stepfather, along with his friends, showed disrespect towards you, while your mom chose to side with your stepfather against your opinion. You found yourself in a difficult situation where openly expressing your feelings led to conflict. Feeling unsupported by loved ones may have caused pain and frustration. Your stepfather and his friends don't seem to realize the boundaries of decorum by making inappropriate jokes. Your reaction to their behavior and subsequent criticism of your mother for her inaction was well-founded. The stance you have taken shows that you do not feel obligated to tolerate this behavior and are unwilling to contribute to maintaining such an environment. You should not retreat in the face of injustice and prioritize the satisfaction of others' desires at the expense of your own well-being. Your decision not to participate in serving those who are disrespectful is a healthy effort to protect your boundaries and self-respect. My next story. My ex-partner and I spent 2 years together. For almost one of those years, we lived under the same roof. At her age of 32, she was clearly looking to start a family. I, in my 30s, also dreamed of having a family. However, my circumstances limited the opportunities to do so. Working for a minimum wage of $16 an hour, I barely had enough money even to live on my own, let alone start a family. My companion was a mid-level manager and, thanks to her past experience as an accountant, was earning a six-figure sum. She took care of extra expenses such as food and housing while I contributed my modest amount. Even with her support, I had no savings, and before our cohabitation, I was living from paycheck to paycheck, sharing an apartment with 3 roommates. Although I had a degree in political science, I was never able to find a suitable job. I eventually found a $24 an hour job related to government events, but it was a temporary position where I only stayed for 6 months. My ex's family treated me warmly, although it never became clear to me if they really liked me. She admitted that her parents were very concerned about the issue of offspring. Despite her desire to have children, she felt that decisions were made too hastily. Our previous friendship may have been the basis for her agreeing to be with me, knowing my feelings but not expressing them until a certain point. She had other relationships before me. Her engagement was discussed, but she did not seek that outcome. Our breakup happened a few months ago. She notified the landlord of her unwillingness to renew the lease and gave me 2 months to move out, emphasizing that our union was over. Shock and bewilderment gripped me when suddenly our union was called into question. Her explanation took me by surprise. She did not want to be the sole breadwinner and felt that my domestic skills were not up to her expectations. This role, in her opinion, did not involve a continuous struggle with household duties, which she said I did not fulfill well enough, even though I tried to cook dinner 3 times a week. The lack of dialogue on the subject only confirmed that the decision had been made without my input. I expressed surprise that the issue of my income was a problem for her, since she had been aware of my financial situation before our relationship began. She admitted that she had initially hoped to cope, but the realization of dependence on my income had become a source of stress for her, and my lack of career aspirations meant that she had to take on the role of primary breadwinner, which she was unwilling to do. Facing an inevitable breakup, which she had already planned by moving to another apartment, I was faced with a choice with no options. Unable to afford a place to live, I temporarily moved in with my mother, facing the difficulty of finding an affordable place to live. Her mother, concerned about our separation, called me, wanting to know the reasons why. Instead of giving a streamlined answer about our incompatibility, I, overwhelmed by pain and feeling the need to talk, shared everything I knew with her. This displeased my ex, who rebuked me for my frankness in front of her mother. The latter, in turn, began to persuade her daughter to resume the relationship for the sake of future offspring, which only increased the pressure on her. After answering my ex's call, I just hung up the phone, feeling uncomfortable with my own bluntness and unintentional interference in other people's relationships, even though I thought the truth was appropriate in this case. Your honesty in this situation does not make you an idiot. The important thing is that you stayed true to yourself without resorting to lies, exaggeration, or misrepresentation. If the truth becomes a problem for your ex, that's her personal predicament, not yours. Even while in a relationship, it would be unethical to deceive her mother. It is important for her to set healthy boundaries in her relationship with her parents, and that is a task she will have to face on her own, especially in her relationship with her mother. As for career ambitions, each person has the right to determine their own life path and goals. There is no universal definition of success. Many people value in a partner not so much the size of the salary, but the presence of aspirations, dreams, and aspirations for personal growth. This is a reminder that it is important not to stop at what has been achieved, but to continue to develop in the chosen direction. Realizing that everyone is responsible for their own life and well-being is key in any relationship. It is important to recognize that no one has to take on the overwhelming burden of providing for the family at the same time as doing household chores. Finding a balance between personal and shared responsibilities is a task for both partners. In conclusion, it is important to remember that everyone faces challenges and mistakes from which lessons can be learned. Striving for self-improvement and being honest with oneself and others is a sure path to personal growth and happiness. A story that really surprised me. I live with my girlfriend in a different city from where my mom lives. The distance between us does not seem great, but it takes a whole day to pay a visit. Because of this circumstance, seeing my mom is becoming rare. My father left us many years ago, and my mom has experienced the loss of 2 children in the last 5 years. Thus, I remain her only living descendant. She lives alone with only a few relatives in her immediate family. I contact my mom regularly, sometimes calling her several times a day to share news or just to chat. It's hard for me to think about her spending time alone. Sometimes I can call her up to 5 times in a day. One weekend, my girlfriend voiced an opinion about the frequency of my calls. She suggested that I was calling my mom too often and recommended that I reduce the number of calls. When I asked her the reasons for this suggestion, she replied that she thought my actions were unusual and unnecessary. I could not agree with her opinion and explained that I did not see anything excessive in my actions. This irritated her. She accused me of not paying attention to her feelings and of ignoring her wishes. I tried to convince her that there was no reason to change my communication habits with my mom, regardless of her opinion that it was too much. She responded by claiming that I was ignoring her feelings and acting unfairly. She called me rash for refusing to reduce my conversations with my mom to 5 times a day, raising the question of whether my mom is truly comfortable with that kind of attention. I'll be honest, your concern for your mom deserves respect, but the number of calls seems excessive. When someone expresses concern about this, your immediate reaction is to defend yourself, which may not be the best solution. I'm not suggesting you cut off communication, but when someone whose opinion you value speaks up, it's worth listening to what they have to say. Take a few days to reflect and rethink the situation. Your inability to have a calm dialogue and find common ground on this issue makes you look bad. While I understand your good intentions, your relationship with your mom may seem too intense. How long have you been maintaining a rhythm of 5 calls a day? Your girlfriend has probably put up with it long enough. The constant calls may be preventing your mom from making other contacts and making new friends. She certainly appreciates your calls, but it's important to think about how she can expand her social circle if you call too often. I suggest considering reducing the number of calls by setting specific times of the day for one call.